Good afternoon, GitOpsians. Johnny, thank you again for joining us as our producer and for actually like waving at the audience before disappearing into the background again this time, so that people could like give Johnny like the appropriate round of applause, or even if you see this afterwards, right? Send him some love on Twitter or whatever for enabling us the way he does. Really, really appreciate it. And then also really exciting. Wait, you're this way. Now you're this way.
Now I'm over here. Yes.
Yeah, now you're over here. Well, I'm pointing at you from my screen, so I think that's correct. Anyway, whatever. I give up. Really exciting. Christian Hernandez has joined back at Red Hat and has rejoined the GitOpsian cruise. So as we explore the galaxy together, he will be returning as co-pilot permanently. Right. I basically just kept the seat warm for you. I was kind of hoping that like either somebody would just like fall into the role naturally and I wouldn't have to try to find a co-host, or like maybe back. I was really lazy about the whole thing because actually like going through the process of finding a co-host would have been a lot of work, and I don't put in work. You know me. I'm the laziest person you've ever met. If I can automate it away, I'm automating it away, right?
That's right. Like we're in the world of automation. Like if I can automate it, like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you can't automate that. So it takes.
I could automate a person, but like to what degree of success is that's the real question there. That's the real question there. We're not seeking to answer that today. Quick announcements before we get back into it, other than the fact that Christian is back with us forever and ever and ever. It's like what do we say? Like the dynamic duo is back together.
We're getting the band back together, right?
Getting the band back together, yeah, exactly. So that happened. We've been friends for 10 years, guys. Like with just bad jokes only between us.
It's only bad jokes now.
It's only bad jokes. There's not even like
the joke.
It's just bad.
Yeah, it's like all the good stuff was done all in the beginning. This is just all bad jokes from here on out.
Yeah, it's all downhill. So the other thing is we will not be streaming a second time this month. So the usual cadence is every other week. But in 2 weeks I will be taking my children on vacation to Hawaii. And I'm doing that instead. So, and Christian,
much better than a surgery.
Originally I was going to actually be off air for a surgery that's been postponed, so there'll be some time earlier next year where I'm off air, TBD. So Christian back in the fray, but not so back in the fray yet that he had something prepared. So we're going to let him work on really planning for next year with me in the next few weeks, and getting back to some of our original plan content and kind of realigning the strategy, because this is my stream now. It's not my stream.
That's right.
Right, but like definitely
it's open source. It's everyone's stream.
Everybody's stream. It's a community stream.
It's the audience. That's right.
So, but today, he actually was going to come back as a guest had he even not rejoined Red Hat to go over Argo rollouts with us, which is it's fairly new feature to Argo, but not like brand new. It's been out a couple months now, right?
Yeah. No, it's been out for a while. It was created by the same folks that did Argo CD to fill a need, right? And so I can get into that. I don't know if you have any other announcements. I can just jump right in.
No. And apparently I'm gonna hope I say this correctly. Tolga, which thank you for joining, has been waiting for this particular stream.
Yes.
So let's just get into it. It's apparently a wish list stream item. So let's go.
Yeah. So awesome. And also, by the way, I'm wearing the Argo Progressing T-shirt. This was from the folks at Acuity. So thank you for the T-shirt. They should actually make the degraded one. I told them I'm gonna publicly shame them. Please make the degraded one, because I would totally rock that shirt. And I don't want to be healthy. I don't want to be synced. I want to be degraded. I don't know. You've been an SRE. I've been in operations. It almost feels like you're always running in degraded. So, which is why the caffeine comes into play. But
yeah, the caffeine comes into play. plus, like, there's just so many really, really excellent jokes that can be made. I mean,
Yeah.
there's good jokes,
Yeah.
but some really excellent jokes that can be made with a degraded shirt.
Yeah.
So I just really like that. They need to do it for the jokes.
Yes, for the lulz,
For the
if
lulz.
anything, right? For the lulz, for sure. So yeah, Argo rollouts. So Argo rollouts has become probably like one of my favorite tools as of late, and I always make the joke about like cloud native architecture and GitOps about like, man, I wish I had these tools back when I was doing this stuff. And so Argo rollouts is like one of those things, and Argo rollouts is really for progressive application delivery with GitOps, right? And so like, what does that mean? I have like 4 slides here. I don't want to. I'm more of a hacker than a slider type of person, but I do believe kind of just painting a picture is really good. If you're using Argo CD, this looks very familiar, right? Like this is like 9 times out of 10 when you're explaining about Argo CD and GitOps, like this is like the picture you show, right? Like you have Git as a source of truth, you have Argo CD reconciling that on some Kubernetes cluster, right? OpenShift, and you're running some sort of ingress object. You're running, in this case, OpenShift service mesh or just Istio, but like you can be running an ingress controller like Nginx or Traffic or OpenShift's route object, right? That's an ingress object. And so that's kind of like the world, right? And so this is a lot of what people do when they first are like implementing Argo CD, right? They're implementing Argo CD, and this is kind of the design everyone starts out with. But then as adoption grows, you run into issues, especially like in the OpenShift service mesh in the Istio world, when you want to do something like a canary deployment, right? So you have a canary deployment, and for those who don't know what a canary deployment is basically you're releasing another version of your application, and you want to send like some percent of the traffic over to the new version, right? The canary, right? And then you kind of monitor that, right? So you send out like, for example, like 10% of the traffic. You kind of monitor that. I'm like, okay, like this is going pretty good. You increase it to 20%, monitor traffic, and so on and so on. And all of a sudden, you're sending 100% of the traffic over to the new version, and you spin down the other version. That's kind of like they call it canary because it's like canary in a coal mine, right? Like if there's something wrong.
I was gonna say, can we talk really quickly about the very like the origin of the term canary?
Yeah.
Also, the irony that it was when the canary stopped singing. You should be concerned, but now because of the way we've applied it, it is actually that you're listening.
You're listening for it. Yeah, exactly.
for problems or for I guess birdsong we'll call it, as opposed to the reverse. So one, that's ironic, and two, the origin of this term is so dark.
It is. Now that I think about it, right? Like it's like you have a canary in a coal mine and it stops singing. That means there's gas, right? There's gas. When they're mining coal, there was gas, and the bird would die, right? Because the canary, they have like little lungs. They're not as tolerant, right, to some of the toxic gases that lives underneath the earth, right? And when the canary died, that means like people would be like, oh, there's something wrong. Let's get out of the coal mine.
Yeah.
When they stop singing. Yeah. Ironically, this, like you said, like the canary deployment is like actually when stuff goes wrong, like when there's a lot of noise, that's when something's going wrong. So it's kind of doesn't maybe fit perfectly into the analogy. I do think we need to come out with like a better terminology though. It's kind of like listening for a bird to die kind of sounds bad. Like me almost. Yeah.
Let's action item, Twitter poll.
Action item.
What should we use to replace the term canary deployments that's not dark?
Yeah, that is not dark. Yes, exactly. So I guess we'll just call it progressive delivery for the purposes of this exploration, right?
Oh, that's perfect. You're wearing the progressing shirt. Look what you did there.
Yes, Yes, see what I did there? That totally was not an accident. The so wait, if you're coming from like a service mesh world, and for those who are watching who aren't really doing service mesh, bear with me because this example is really focused on like if you're doing something like Istio, right? Service mesh. Um, so when you're using something like Istio, the world is very, very dynamic if you think about it, right? If you're setting up these policies, you're setting up these route rules, you're saying, oh, send 10% of the traffic, and then you change the configuration right away. You send 20%. Okay, change the configuration again, send 30%. In a GitOps world, that's kind of um, that's kind of hard to do because if you think about it, GitOps is really static with respect to like there's a source of truth, and I always want to match the source of truth. So there's like a few ways, people do this in a few ways, which is like a number of PRs, right? So like PR, accept the change, observe, PR, accept the change, like, and that could take a while, right? Especially like if you have like approval process and you need multiple people looking at it, and it's just hard to do. Another way is to have Argo CD just ignore the differences, right? Which isn't completely wrong, but it kind of is not in the spirit of GitOps, right? Like it's like, ignore the dynamic aspect of it. And then, or you can just pause reconciliation with Argo CD, and then do your canary rollout, and then re-enable it.
I will say, all of the things you just mentioned all have one thing in common: an uncomfortable amount of room for human error, right? And this is something people hear me say a lot. I'll say this: there's an uncomfortable amount of room for human error here, right? Like it's like one of my. I might as well put it on a T-shirt. Like it's what I say it so frequently.
We should. That should be a T-shirt, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my. So I have a T-shirt store. You can't actually buy the shirts, but I do put things on T-shirts there. For the giggles.
Yeah, for the lulz.
I put not your sysadmin on there. I've put some other things on there. Choose your technical debt wisely is on there. I have the T-shirts. Yeah. I wear the T-shirts, but you can't buy them. You can just stare at them. Anyway, that's going on there. That uncomfortable amount of room for human error, right? And I think, Christian, you and I come from similar backgrounds in a lot of ways, although different. We hate that, right? Because we hate dealing with what happens when that error actually becomes reality. And I said this when we spoke live in May at GitOpsCon. Right? This industry has been very reactive to that. It's like we have figured out ways to orchestrate our way around having to do things by hand or having to do things with a series of shell scripts, right? So I'll let you go back into the removing the uncomfortable amount of room for human error aspect of life.
And actually, I'm glad you chimed in because the challenge isn't so much technical as it is like what I say is it's on layer 8, right? Like if for those that know the OSI model, right? Like there's a layer an unknown layer 8, which is the human layer, right? It's the people layer, whereas like there's the issue with like stopping reconciliation and doing a bunch of PRs is it just introduces a room for human error, right? And so this is what Argo Rollouts is supposed to do, right? And so Argo Rollouts really sits in the middle between Argo CD and in this case service mesh, right? Istio, and it takes apart, it automates a lot of that process for you, where you set like your upward, right? Like your upward bound and like lower bound sort of like rule sets, and Argo Rollouts will then work with Argo CD to roll out that deployment. And what's really cool about Argo Rollouts in this example, we're doing service mesh, but like in other it works with other it has other providers, right? You don't have to use Istio. You can use Nginx, for example, or Traffic, or and there's a PR for OpenShift routes as well. So that's also coming in the future. But you don't have it. It doesn't replace any ingresses or in any sort of service mesh, but it takes part in it. And it does this with rule sets. And not only does it actually take a part of it and doing the rollout um, without having to do PRs and stuff like that, but it does it in an automated way where it actually can check um, metrics, right? So it actually hooks into things like Prometheus, where it can say, okay, release 10% of the traffic, do whatever query, Prometheus query, right? Where it's like, okay, check, for 500 errors, or check for like latency in disk, whatever, right? And if it passes a certain threshold, it'll release another 10%. Checks for, it basically, it's that whole, it replaces that the whole need for you to having to do like a bunch of PRs and a bunch of checking, where you can actually codify that. I know Hillary, you're like a big proponent of codifying things, right? Where you don't have to you don't want to introduce that human error, right? You codify it, and it's almost like policy based, right? You set your policies up to where, okay, like do a progressive rollout, do either a blue-green deployment or do a canary deployment, and check for errors. And what errors? Well, like these are the errors where we're going to check anyways with Prometheus. Codify that in, and it can either roll forward or roll back with those errors. So really, Argo Rollouts kind of sits in there as a way to for you.
It's like
so
air traffic
I see
control,
that.
right?
Yes.
It's like air traffic
Yep.
control, right? You may go, you may not go, you may stop. Actually, I have to cancel your going, right? It's like it's going to sit there
Yep.
and I hate to use the term, right? It feels such buzzword. It's going to orchestrate.
It's going to, yes, exactly. It's going to orchestrate. Overloaded terms. I mean, in an industry, we love overloaded terms. It's awesome.
Somebody, I was on the phone with somebody today. We were joking around about buzzwords, and he's like, "Man, if you don't like buzzwords, you're in the wrong industry."
Yeah, wrong industry. Yeah, it's all.
We love buzzwords. We love to invent buzzwords and then use them and abuse them until
use and abuse them. Yeah, and then we get mad at them, and then we come up with new ones,
and then we replace them with newer buzzwords. Yeah,
with newer buzzwords, and then that cycle continues. It just keeps going. So this is all the slides I kind of had to. I do have multiple demos, but before we jump into that, I actually want to kind of explain how Argo Rollouts does this. You already posted this in the chat.
I did.
Or did you or Johnny? Someone? Thank you, Johnny.
I did it because I didn't preload Johnny with the links, but he's doing everything else, so I can post things in the chat.
All right, awesome. Again, thank you, Johnny, for helping us out here. We will. So there's a few objects you need to know about Argo Rollouts, right? So there's first, the first thing is what we call a rollout. Okay, so then so let's look at the blue-green rollout. So what is a rollout? Rollout is an object in Argo that replaces your deployment, meaning that the deployment, the Kubernetes deployment that you all know and love, let's throw it out the window. You don't need it anymore. They replaced it with something called a rollout. But fret not, rollout has the exact same spec as a deployment. So you can basically copy and paste. And it comes, the spec comes with a new something called a strategy, right? You're going to do a blue-green deployment, which I'll go over, right? You're basically just switching, which I think in past lives, Hillary, I think this is what we did at our at the previous
former
job
employer TM.
Former $ last job. Is I think we did a lot of blue-green there. But blue-green, you basically switch from one version to another, and then it basically you set the container, right, and then which is the active service, right? Is there's two services, one pointing to your blue service and one pointing to the green service, and then this controller points to whichever one it needs to on the back end, right? And then canary is something I think is really, really cool. You have options like you're doing a canary rollout and what are the steps to take, and then which which analysis to run, right? And so analysis is another thing. And I'll get deeper into like what all these things mean.
I do want to
later.
Maybe I'm stepping on something you want to talk about later, but I actually really do want to talk about the difference between a blue-green deployment and a canary deployment real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I know our audience typically has a wide variety of people, so probably most people in the audience know this. But for the folks that don't, who are the folks I always care about in these situations,
yes,
the difference between a blue-green deployment and a canary rollout, there is some nuance to this. I'm not going to say this is like all-encompassing, but typically speaking, a blue-green deployment means you have a deployment that is blue, like characteristic in nature. We'll just say like literally it could be blue, right? And another copy of almost the exact same deployment, but it has characteristic differences that are, and we're going to call it green. And a lot of times this encompasses some sort of business logic or user experience flows or something that is substantially different, but still production ready across the two versions of deployment. And then what you want to take away from your blue-green deployment is metrics or analysis on which has better outcomes, right? Do I get higher sales conversions for the same number of hits off of the green deployment versus the blue deployment? Do I have fewer, customer support requests off of the blue deployment versus the green deployment, right? So you take all of these data points that you care about that are typically business driven, and then make decisions based off of either which UI becomes the primary UI or how to go back and combine the best aspects of both to create a new UI. And then you would probably you could even add blue, green, red. You could even add a third flow. Like you're not actually restricted to two here. I mean, maybe from the artist perspective you are, but from a business logic perspective, you're not restricted to two. It actually can be more. There's also so again, going into the nuance, there's ways to logically route traffic based on accessibility needs of the person viewing, right? So there are certain for folks who are using text to speech in order to, because they're blind, right? There are actually special UIs that exist for a lot of places that actually strip out the images or have alt text for the images and so forth. So, and then that can be interpreted by certain programs. And if they can detect that they're being hit by a program like that, then that's the quote unquote UI that will get presented. So there's a couple aspects. More nuance beyond that exists, but that's really what a blue-green is. And then going into what a canary is you have one version of your system, one deployment, one end goal place that is production, but it's a progressive rollout of that. So and that's like the key differences there.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and I think, and kind of just to go a little bit further, what you were explaining, Hilary, is like what we did at hashtag last job was a blue green, but we would actually keep both of them up at the same time, right? And we would bleed people off, meaning like we would run two versions at the same time, and the people who were on the old version would stay on that old version until their process was complete. Like, let's say if you have a point of sale, like you want that money, right? You don't want to kick someone off, while they're trying to buy something. They would stay on that version.
New sessions went to green, and then blue stuck around until there were 0 active sessions, at which point we retired it.
We would retire that, and that was all by hand, right? Like that's all like something like me and my team did. And it's like there's stuff like this now where it's like I just replaced you with a small shell script sort of thing, right? And another aspect of Argo rollouts is analysis, right? So we go through so something like Prometheus, and I'll show you like my specific version of these things, but you don't have to use Prometheus, right? You can use something like Datadog, New Relic, Wavefront. You can there's one called Web, where you basically you tell it hit this web back, so you can even write your own metrics analysis, right, for your particular application, and look for a specific success or failure, right, for that aspect. But I think the best way to see it happen is I'm more of a do right? I need to see it work before examples. I just kind of want to show my flex. If you Google GitOps -examples, I'm the first hit. So I got that SEO down. I just kind of wanted to flex my SEO thing. So I'm gonna go over first a really easy no big deal. Johnny just said in the chat, no big deal. Just saying I'm first.
You know what I'm going to do is while you do this, I'm going to get a link to your GitHub repo into the chat for people to follow along. And then don't let me forget, they actually have Argo actually published their own rollout demo as well. If we don't have time to get to it today's stream, I want to make sure to put that into the chat. So somebody in chat, you're accountable for reminding me to post this so that you guys can also practice on your own with that demo.
Yep. Oops, I went the wrong screen here. So I have a this is just a bare Kubernetes cluster. I'll show an OpenShift 1 version. So if I do kget pods on Argo CD, right? I'm running Argo CD and I'm also running Argo rollouts, right? They're just two controllers running. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's do a blue-green deployment here. So let me grab this. Okay, apply. All right, so I have this blue-green here coming up. There it is. Yeah, so progressing. See, you see it says right there, progressing. That's what it says on my shirt. Anyways, I'm all excited. There's my progressing. I have this app, and much exactly like Hilliary said, I have this is an Nginx route, right? Like I have a blue version, and then this is the production route, and this is the preview route. Notice how they're both blue because we're just running one version of this as well. So so for this, let me go to Git if we're doing things with GitOps. Yeah, rollouts. We are doing, yeah. So I'm doing blue green overlays, localhost, customization. Okay, so now this is blue, and now I'm gonna switch this to green. Right, we do the whole GitOps thing, and then use the green. And then I sign my commits. So should you. Oops. Main. Oh, cool. All right, and so this here, if I refresh this, I think, yeah. So this starts a rollout, right? And so here, notice how you have, now there's two replica sets, right? One pointing to one version and one pointing to the other version. This right here, it's still blue. And then this here now turns to green. Like now this is like the preview route, right? Like you have two different routes, one pointing to the production, one pointing to the back end. But the production's still blue. And then once I do that, notice how it says suspended here. So this here, Argo rollout controller says, oh, Argo, by the way, I'm doing a progressive rollout. Don't sync anything. I got this. I got you, right? I'm working. It's all integrated. Like I'm working along with you. And then what you can do is, yeah, there we go. Let me just copy pasta. There's an Argo rollouts plugin for Kubernetes. Right, and this here shows this is the version you're running, revision 1, right? That's the stable active one. This image here is the preview one, right? And that's kind of like, it shows these are the two images you're running. The blue, which is a stable version of what we saw, and then the preview is the green, so that's the image we're running there. And in order to, and the status is paused, right? Because Argo's gonna want to set this back to the desired state, but we're in a rollout situation here. So, and in order to promote this, I have to run the promote command. right? And so once it's promoted, it switches, right? So it says like, this is your revision. Now, before revision 2 was previewed, now it's active. And now now it's green, right? So now that canary is green. Sorry, the blue-green, the newer version is green now. If I refresh this, it says healthy and synced. Awesome. And it'll keep, here it says delay 26 seconds. It keeps the older version up for a little bit. So that way, in case it needs to roll back, but then it scales that down, and now we're back here. So that's kind of like the blue-green. So what we're talking about blue-green is basically you're just switching from one version to another. And now like they match, right? The preview matches the production one here. So canary is a little different, right? So let's do the canary, which is I think my favorite one. Canary app, that's right. So the canary app is up here, and then that should roll out soon. Up. Progressing, like it says in my shirt. I keep loving my shirt. I don't know why.
I mean, I think my shirt is objectively better.
It is objectively better. That's right. So here is the Argo rollouts, right? The canary. And so what the canary is going to do is you're just going to release like a little bit at a time. So you have, let's do kind of the same idea. Canary overlays, optimization. Let's do, I don't know, red. Oops. Red. That. Sweet. And then let's refresh this. And what's going to happen here is that it's going to there we go, right here. So what this does is that it spins up 3 pods, right? And the reason it spins up 3 pods is because in the rollout, so let's go back here to canary. I believe, no, not the ingress. Canary. Yeah, so in the rollout here, let me make this a little bigger. It says set weight to 30%, and then it'll pause. Right here, it'll pause indefinitely because I don't put any seconds in there. And so it'll show that your canary is running healthy, right? You're running 30%, which is 3. And if you go back to the application, you see now like the little red guys are starting to appear, right? 30% of these are 30% of these squares are red now instead of blue. And so in order to promote this, where is my yeah, there we go, my notes here. You promote this to you just run the promote command. So once you run the promote command, you run the get. Now you're running now you're adding 3 more, right? So you're adding, you're going to, I think this is 40% now. And then here you'll see a little more red coming through, right, instead of the blue. And you essentially just keep promoting it. Right, and then this will add more. If you go here, you'll see less and less blue. You see less, more and more red. And then one more promotion, I think, all it takes. Now you're 100% red. This is marked as healthy. If I go back here, yeah. So it says, notice here it says delay 18 seconds, right? So it keeps up the old version for a few seconds, and it'll spin it down. But now, now I'm completely red, right? And so this is like kind of like a quick kind of introduction between blue green and canary. And this is done all manually, right? So like this here shows like you don't necessarily need to wait for like Prometheus or anything to come back. You can like do these steps manually. But yeah, actually, there's an interesting question about like when would you, so like this is really, I would bounce this question off of you, Hillary, is that um like, well, when do you think you would use like blue green versus canary? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah. Like one.
While I prepare for the next one, for my next demo.
Yeah. So I think we have to talk about desired outcomes, right? So when we talk about blue green, right, obviously it gets used between like there's just a transference between two states, or there is like there might be a transference between two states, but there could be a longer duration, right? I feel like in a canary you have like a guaranteed plan towards an end state, but in a blue greens I think that a key difference is duration, right? And then degree of split may be more 50-50 versus incremental, right? So there's the actual mechanism of how you do it. So let's talk about what kinds of things are happening, and two, what kind of outcomes do we want, right? There's a really great it's a slide that one of the distinguished engineers on my team has, and it's like, okay, you think about your outcomes, and then you like put that into your design, and then you do the like execution, and then that should get mapped back out to your outcomes, right? So we have to think about our outcomes, and when we think about our outcomes, we also have to think about like what is the nature of the beast we're working with, right? So I think it a little bit depends on what are you doing right now, what are you rolling out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a really fantastic example. In OpenShift 4.11, there is a additional like networking stack OVN added, right? If you wanted to like migrate from the old networking onto OVN, that would be a really great thing to do in a canary way, where you do with a very small subset of your fleet. Say that like I know for sure there's a migration path. I'm pretty sure, but like don't quote me on that. But like it's something of like that big spectrum of a change, right? Like that large in nature of a change, where like a complete ingress and egress could be down if you get it wrong, or you could be seeing introducing latencies due to some of the natures of the networking changes, or you need time for DNS to start updating, things like that. That's really not a good opportunity for canary, because like the degree to which it could be breaking might be all encompassing, right? So you really want just the smallest sample size you can get, so that you still have overall good outcomes for customers, but you do understand you're accepting a level of risk for not so great outcomes for customers or workloads, or whatever is using the thing.
What I like also, I also equate it to like Twitter does this a lot, right? Like I'll see like people get certain features. I'm like, how come I don't have that feature? I'm like, oh, they're like testing this out, right? Like you're also testing out like things where like you are not sure if you're going to implement it or not. Like you want a good sample size of like, is it useful? Are people liking this new feature that you're adding? Or is it worth rolling out? Does it, like you said, like does it degrade my other services? Like you don't know, also, right?
Regional, is it actually ready for go time in every region, right? There are all kinds of like data sovereignty laws, right? There's a big topic right now. You can't roll out everything to every region. So a blue-green deployment might be one way that you handle that. And so again, blue-green deployments, I feel like there's a longer duration during which the blue and the green states exist. And like we showed it in a very short-term duration, but you could have it permanent, actually, even.
You can have it like years. Like you don't like in my demos, or like in all the demos you see like seconds, right? You like you're seeing the progressive rolling out seconds. Some of these take like weeks, right? Like progressive rollouts doesn't have to happen like in seconds. Like it'll take weeks sometimes for it to even reach the end.
Yeah, you need to get data to analyze, and getting data to analyze and make decisions off of does not take seconds. I'm sorry. I don't care how much your data volume is.
Yes.
10 seconds worth of data is still not enough. It doesn't matter how many like records in a database that is, right? It's not enough.
Yeah.
So it's a little, it really is. So it's over time. And I think with progressive rollouts, even with that notion of it can be over time, you're still looking at expected smaller windows of time than you might be with a blue-green. So that's one thing with a blue-green. The other thing is, like we said, if you've got a very simple flow, like a point of sales flow, how we did it was, you know, at hashtag last job, right, was just like, okay, so we're put the new thing up and we're going to load balance all new sessions to that, right? And then once we know we have no sessions on the old one, then that goes away. Like that's it's a very straightforward flow, and you're pretty much guaranteed a short duration of time for those trailing sessions, right? So those are the types of things you're going to look for. You really need to be focusing on outcomes, on customer experience, on user experience, like who's using it, what are they doing, what are they going to see, and you know, doing things either in a blue-green way, which again, like business logic can be more readily applied to blue-greens, whereas progressive is pretty much like we have this one state we want, and it's more about rolling out that state as gently as possible while accepting risk, but keeping that risk really mitigated as we go through the progress. I feel like in blue-green, not that you can't slowly adjust your traffic over to the like the second state or what have you. Like if you're doing blue-green, you're really like you're really accepting that there's two desired states for n period of time. And again, there's so much nuance to this, but I would not do significant infrastructure changes in the cloud in a blue-green way. I would try to do that in a progressive way if at all possible.
Yes, if at all possible. Correct.
And it also looks at scale, right? Because like also sometimes your scale, it just does not make sense. Like, what are you going to do a progressive rollout on, right? You don't have the scale to do, you know.
True. Yeah.
You know,
I can't run like 800 instances, right? Because just my infrastructure isn't built for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you also need to look into scale will also inform how you do and use rollouts, or if you do them, maybe you just end up having to do a straight upgrade, right? There's a higher level to that, but there's still like plenty of cause for that to be the case. So what are you doing? What are your desired outcomes? What is your budget? Like all of those types of things are going to inform how when you pick one over the other. But I think for me, when I think blue-green versus a canary rollout, I'm thinking there's multiple desired states for n period of time. And that period of time is longer in a blue-green scenario than it is in a progressive rollout.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so I've actually created a demo here, like for on OpenShift, right? So for those, I'll put this in the chat here. So I did a lot with that other demo was like very, very manual, right? For this specific one, I actually automated everything. So just before I go into what's installed, I'll tell you what I have. A rollout, right? So this is my canary rollout. I am running kind of like the same thing, right? I want to set the weight to 30%. I'm going to pause for 20 seconds, set the weight for 40, pause for 10, that sort of thing. But as a side effect, I have something called an analysis, right? So between each rollout, I want you to run this analysis. And the analysis template I'm calling success rate, right? Start at step 2, right? So basically roll out 30%, wait for 20 seconds, and then start analyzing, right? Because we want to analyze, we need some data, right? Like we can't start analyzing right away because there's going to be no data. So I wait until the second step, but between each one of these steps, they're going to run this analysis template. So what does the analysis template look like? So in my case, the analysis template is basically querying the internal Prometheus for Istio. And I'm just running, this is just a standard Prometheus query, right? Whatever markup language they are for Prometheus, whatever it is.
PromQL.
Johnny, help. PromQL. That's what I was going to Johnny.
PromQL,
Thank you.
There's PromQL.
Cool.
There's GraphQL.
So this is
can we just standardize on one, guys? That'd be great.
Yeah,
anyway,
just whatever happened to regular QL. Anyways, so basically, I'm just looking for 500s in this demo, but like this just can be whatever you want, right? It's just here's basically you're saying here's a Prometheus endpoint, run this query, and basically I'm looking if the error rate is more than 5%. This is kind of hard to read. So like 95% success rate, anything lower than 95% is considered an error, right? And I wait, and I run this for every 10 seconds. So I run this query every 10 seconds during that pause step. If I go back to the rollouts configuration, I am, where do I set the, it might be back over there. 1 second. I think it fails. I think it's actually the analysis template. Sorry about that. Failure limit. That's what I was looking for. So it needs to fail. So if it fails more than twice, I consider it a failure, right? And so, so instead of having to run those promote commands, like pause, check, promote, pause, like it does all of this for me, right? And so, what I have here, let me look at my operators. I have I'm running this internally, so this is going to take a while to load. Running OpenShift GitOps, right, which is Argo CD, and then OpenShift Service Mesh, which is Istio, and Service Mesh installs like all this other all these other. I guess it's a meta operator. It installs other operators, right, that it uses to depend on.
It's an operator for operators, yeah.
It's an operator for operators, yes. And then here, if I do OC get pods. Argo rollouts. I'm running Argo rollouts on this cluster. Just to let you know, Red Hat OpenShift GitOps will include Argo rollouts in the future. I think it's dev preview sometime next year. I don't know. I don't know. Harriet may be getting mad at me. I'm not promising that it will be available soon. I just know that it will be supported at some point with Red Hat OpenShift GitOps. So. So early next year it'll be dev preview. So right now I'm using the upstream version just for the purpose of this demo, but it will actually be included as part of the OpenShift GitOps.
But I think that's an important note, right? Like let's but it's not included now, but you can still use the upstream version with OpenShift GitOps and it will work.
Yes, yeah, and it will work. Yeah, and if I go to the Argo CD here.
Johnny points out it will work without changing anything. Out of box.
Oh, yeah. It's out of box. I'm just using the upstream version. Let's go into my workloads here. So I have my Canary app, kind of the same as, this Canary app is the exact same as the other application. And so here, so let's go over the demo. So what I'm going to do is, what would be the best way to do this? Let me... OCP. I'm not gonna. These are all part of my notes. So let's go here. Oops.
The importance of a README or an SOP with copy paste.
Right. Yeah.
Copy paste is the focus of the writing, right? If I read your README, I would like to be able to copy and paste and
paste.
And have the thing that you were telling me I can have by downloading.
Exactly. Well, and I always like to copy paste my own notes because that's how I know they're still good. Like, so it's not necessary. So for those who always watch me do my demos, I'm always copying and pasting from my notes, only because I want to make sure they still work. Like it's like even if I know the commands from memory. So let's do source. So I'll do while true. Do that guy sleep. 1 done. Okay. So this is the Canary demo here. I'm basically just watching the rollout take place here. I'm going to be switching back and forth. So normally with demos, I like to, people show success. I actually want to show you a failure. So that's VI workloads, Canary. Oops, not that. Let's do customize. Let's do yellow, right? Because we're doing canaries. Git add. It was all yellow for those Coldplay fans. Okay, push. Oops.
I understand the reference, but for some reason my brain went to yellow card instead of.
Oh, it's a yellow card. Okay, well maybe I should have done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, git pull.
Which does yellow card still produce music? Anybody
I don't know. I feel. Does anyone know? If anyone knows, yes. Oh, we need to do. This is what I get for not pulling my. There we go. Okay. So git.
So while you're doing that, I'm gonna highlight our Hope Nines, which I really need to actually learn this person's name because I never remember. But yes, we could also there's also logql.
Logql, yeah, that's also that. So yeah, so then that is pushed. Let's get the routes here. System, and there we go. Paste.
I'm so glad I talked you into doing this for me because I did have a demo set up, but I did not have, like, mine was nowhere near as thorough as yours was. Like, it was not going to be on an OpenShift cluster.
Yeah, let's refresh this. Okay, so now it's out of sync. Now, if I go back to this guy, so that they're spinning up pods now. And as soon as this is ready, just start seeing some yellow here pretty soon. Yeah. So now I'm starting to see yellow. So now let's throw some errors, right? And so these errors here, their little red squares are sending back 500s. If I go here, so notice like I'm waiting until the second step, right? Like it's collecting data so far right here, sending back the 500 errors. The analysis template starts like at around the 40-second mark. I'm running this local, so I'm hearing my machine spin up.
Like it wants to fly to the moon, right?
Yeah, it wants to fly to the moon, but let's go here. It's progressing. Give me the errors. What's any errors? Wonder why it's taking so long.
Because we're doing a live demo.
Yeah.
That's always the reason, right? All demos break always.
Oh, always, yeah.
Except for the one for the universal object representation or reference.
Oh, yeah.
UR stands for. I think it's reference. UR. That demo did not break.
Yeah.
Andrew has magic demo skills, I think.
I think it has to do with some live debugging.
I love live debugging.
All right, that should be okay. But it's funny how it's not rolling out the next ones.
I mean, is it your prom QL check is failing, so it won't roll it out?
No, it doesn't. It's not. It hasn't even ran the analysis template yet. So the rollouts, they're up to date 3, available 13. Okay, that looks right. Looks right too. Bring if might be Argo CD.
Itself is wedged.
It's waiting for the. Yeah, well, it's. I think Argo CD is waiting for the health to come back for the rollout, and it's still like, there it goes, events. What does the event say?
I can't see what the events say.
Yeah, operation cannot be fulfilled. The object has been
modified.
Oh, okay, that's what the error is. So let's scorch the earth. Don't do this at home. OC delete pods all timeout equals 0. Oh no, it's wait equals false. Right. Now there's nothing. There it goes. Come on, Argo.
Basically just did the equivalent of
scorched earth.
Yeah, I was gonna say the RM-RF star, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's essentially
everything here gone.
On no more. Let me see here. Let's see if that error is still there. My app is now frozen. There we go. Okay, so suspended. Awesome. Well, that's what I wanted to see. All right, so canary. I'm waiting for the analysis template to run.
So the time conscious person in me is like, yeah, we're down the last few minutes of the stream. We have to just scorchers and start it over to get what we want out. The SRE in me is like, no, we need to find the root cause.
We need to find out why. Yes. What is the root cause?
You said you're doing this local, so you're using OpenShift local for this one?
Oh, I'm actually I installed OpenShift on this bare metal server I have on here.
Oh, real fancy.
Real fancy. OC get virtual services. I don't know where my virtual canary. Scribe. Any. Yeah, no events. Okay, that looks fine. Let's synchronize.
It's going to be something dumb. It's always something dumb.
It's always something dumb, yeah. Huh. Luckily, I have a video I posted.
Yeah, let's grab a link to that video. And let me also, did I already post, somebody keep me accountable, did I already post the Argo rollouts? I did post the Argo rollouts example, or rather, Johnny posted it because I handed it to him, and he's the best. So we also have their example to follow along with as well, which is, I went through the repo, it's pretty good.
Oh, there it is. This is me. Okay. I'll share this for those who want to see. And what's funny is that this is the exact same system that I used, exact same server for this demo. It's just now it's stuck. So let's do OC get events.
You exceeded successful demo quota for the week.
That's right. Yeah, I did all of them. The latest version. Try. This is probably because let's do this. Set it.
I was wondering if that was it.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's do sync, force, synchronize. I know. I accept all. I wonder what this did. Let's do this. We'll see. Argo rollouts. Be a way to like stop it. Is there an abort command? Oh, there it is.
/cancel /abort.
Yeah. Okay, OC Argo rollouts. Let's stop this. There we go. support rollout, and then this guy here. See rollouts.
Yep.
Oh, like this. Abort.
Hey, successful abort, which is very good time. As we are about to be top of the hour, and I have a staff meeting.
Yes, we all have staff meetings. I do too, actually.
Yeah.
So check out the video. You'll actually see it, but it is you fix the problem without realizing it. Yeah. Check out the video. That video shows this demo here, and then there's the repo here as well. I posted it on the chat.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Great. So that brings us top of the hour. We will have to sign off. Christian will sit there and wonder what happened, and eventually probably post an update on Twitter going, aha! Probably like 5 minutes from now, right? When it like your brain has a chance to like cycle through and go, wait a minute, that was the thing, right? Every time, I swear. But anyway, so Johnny's gonna press the end very quickly here. Before that, just again, reminder, we will not be streaming again this month. We will see you beginning of December. I don't remember the date. I'll post it to Twitter. I'll try to be better, I promise. So like, subscribe, turn on alerts, follow us, and last but not least, choose your technical debt wisely. We'll see you in a little while. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.